Hi, in today's video, we shall provide a short introduction on classes in Python. When you previously learned Python, you may have encountered lists, tuples, or even dictionaries. These are all different classes to begin with, and so to simplify matter, we can think about classes for now as a blueprint for an object, which means to say it contains the details required so that when we define an object, it has the properties that we desire, without always having to hardcode into every object we want. This is especially useful if objects share similar functions we want. Now, let's look at an example to understand how to define a class better. When we define functions, we use DEF, but to tell Python we want a class, we use the word class. Within the class, you can define different methods. These methods define your attributes that you want your object to have. Firstly, we need to define the initialization function as follows. This helps give the object our starting or initial, hence the name, variables to begin with. Like for the animal class, we have the name as its variable, as seen. This is not necessary if there are no variables to input. For an example, we define the animal 1 as animal bracket the dog. This dog is the variable which we're going to input here, and so we can go on to define different methods. This, you can think of the methods as functions associated to the objects in that class, such as getName and say. To run the method, we write animal1.getName or animal1.say. As you can see, our variable dog is inputted and the output is dog for getName, and when it says say, what does the dog say is the output, as when you read from the function defined above. And this is basically it for creating our own class. Now, we can move on to creating subclasses, which is basically a class on its own, but now it inherits the properties from its parent class, also known as the superclass. Why do we do this? Well, that's because there are certain distinguishing attributes that we have for different objects. Like for the animals, we can define the subclass of a dog and a subclass for a cat. But they also have the properties in common since they are both animals in the first place. For subclasses, when we initialize, we now want to include the super.initial function so that Python knows that it needs to inherit the attributes from the parent class animals as follows. Afterwards, you can call upon the methods defined for an animal class for dogs and cats even though you did not hardcode them into your subclass. You can see from this example, even though we did not hardcode the getName function, the dog.name, when we call upon it, it does not raise an error and instead it outputs dog. Similarly for cat, when we do cat.name, it outputs cat. But since you have defining attributes for both the dog and cat subclass, you can define what you want the dog and cat to say by defining the say function as woof for dog and defining the say function meow for cat. Now when you call upon these methods, dog.say and cat.say, they return woof and meow respectively, which are different from the original animal class as they have been overwritten. This new say method directly written into the subclass code will override the previous say method in the animal class, as you can see. Yup, and this is all for the inheritance part of the subclass. And now we have come to the end of the video, and hope this video has gave you an idea on how to create classes and what you can do with them. Please like, share and subscribe, and do comment on anything about the video that I can answer below. Thank you.